亲子教育与边界无之大事，生之不存亡之道。
It wasn't tricky. It's
A word. A unit of communication with the potential for infinite meaning.
A lot of people have different ideas about how closely aligned thoughts and the way that you express them in speech are. So, like, some theorists think that thoughts are the same thing as like the words that they're associated with, and some people think that you have to kind of conceptualize something and then put it into words, and that's a separate process.
By themselves, words float in a universe neighboring Plato's world of forms. We humans can use our power of language to absorb the data of reality, reach into the world of words, attach data to words, and combine them into an idea. An idea with a name, a word from Plato's neighbor to encapsulate and represent the idea in a unit, a word.
Language starts out in the brain of a speaker, and so they have some ideas, and they have to encode those ideas into words, to word parts that they put together, and those word parts, in order to express them, they have to be encoded also into sounds. Sounds have to be realized by a speaker, whatever apparatus they have, and for most speakers, for any speaker who's using spoken language, that apparatus is, your mouth, your articulators below your mouth, so your vocal folds and your lungs. And so you have to coordinate a bunch of gestures in order to produce those sounds that then create movements in the air that are an acoustic signal that travels from a speaker to a listener. And then a listener has the job of interpreting what those vibrations in the air mean. So there's a complex process to that as well. So first, the air vibrates. You as a listener have an eardrum that's fashioned to pick up those vibrations. And so you pick up those vibrations and you interpret them in terms of the sounds which they represented, or some people think that you interpret them actually in terms of the articulations that they represented. So here you feel some vibrations on your eardrum and you think, oh, that was Rebecca's vocal folds vibrating, or whatever it might be. And then you have to take those sounds and you do the backwards encoding or the decoding, right? So you interpret them as word parts or words, and you interpret those words together as parts of utterances that have ultimately some kind of meaning, which you then decode in terms of not only your linguistic knowledge, but your knowledge of the world, your knowledge of the social context between us, and so on.
You now have a new world of words that all represent combinations of words, ideas. Take these words, arrange them, puzzle them into combinations that project more detailed data, more complex ideas. Doing this, another world reveals itself. A higher dimension of words attached to ideas, attached to words, attached to ideas, and they are all at your lexical disposal.
Why do we recognize words? So we learn to associate particular sound patterns with particular meanings because it's advantageous to us to do so, right? I mean, we, as humans, need to understand spoken communication. Do I think that all languages can express the same thing? I think humans can all express the same things in whatever languages they have at their disposal. I think that humans are intensely creative and would not be limited by any constraints of their language.
The only languages that people have known and studied are either auditorily based, using your vocal cords in your speech, or sign languages using your appendages, right? We don't have any languages that are based off of like smell or taste or anything like that. I think there's several reasons for that. One, we don't have as many different abilities to discriminate between as many different tastes and smells. So one, we're not going to have as many possible categories to work with. There's a lot more you can do with different ways you can move your hands and your vocal cords. With seeing and hearing is that those forms of communication are more what we would call intersubjectively accessible, right? And so all that means is that, you know, we have a better idea that if we see something or if we hear something, that we're hearing or seeing the same thing as somebody else than if we're smelling it or tasting it.
Integrating the equation, words equal ideas equal words, and taking its limit approaches us to a descriptive world fractally defined to perfect accuracy. But alas, this is another solution trumped by infinity.